If a government has a policy that results in a factory, a workforce, a project, an entire industry having to close, then the chances are there's something really wrong with the policy. You'd have to go, hang on, and say, whoa, just step back for 1 second. I don't think this thing is working. This is a cast-iron example of what happens when net zero evangelism meets reality. More than 1,000 jobs at one of the country's largest vehicle plants at risk over there at Vauxhall, becoming the latest company to scale back its UK production. This should not be the direction of travel. It should not be the direction of travel from a government that was proposing and promising the very opposite to that. We are the Parliament, the government, the party of growth. We are the people that will pick up where the woeful Tories left off and will make stuff happen. We'll be like wizards at the dispatch box, proclaiming our incredible theology around everything that is political and giving it that godlike spark to reinvigorate the economy. Oh, apart from the car industry, which is now on its knees as a result of the very policies from the very government that promised all of the above. Ministers have been forced into talks now with manufacturers amid fears that electric vehicle targets will hit car makers with ruinous fines. Vauxhall's parent company, Stellantis, said the government's challenging mandates aimed at phasing out petrol and diesel vehicles had played a significant part in its decision to shut its van-making plant in Luton. Do you not find it odd that people like Jonathan Reynolds and Business Secretary and Mr Starmer and Lammy and Rayner, and this applies to other parties, they happen to be the government, sit around with these sort of heady ideas about net zero when literally know nothing about it? Can you imagine being in that meeting? Wouldn't at some point you excuse yourself from the meeting? I don't think I should be here because I know absolutely jack about what we're talking about. I can't proclaim targets on vehicles and cars. I know nothing about it. Absolutely no. I know nothing of the science. I think you want a scientist in here. They might be able to help you. They might come up with the same idea, the same proposal, but not me. Angela Rayner, David Lammy, good Lord. Jonathan Reynolds. Sitting, these people have never run anything in their life. Last week, Ford announced it would cut 800 jobs in the UK because of slower than expected EV sales. Nissan warned that jobs at its Sunderland plant, the largest factory in Britain, could also be at risk. And the Society of Motor Manufacturers said that weak demand for EVs and the requirement to fulfil sales quotas would cost car makers £6 billion this year alone, with the potential for devastating impacts on business viability and jobs. It said the strong EV demand anticipated when net zero emissions mandates were designed more than 2 years ago had failed to materialise, with interest rates, raw material prices and energy costs remaining high. This is what happens when you tinker with the system. And my sense, by the way, if you look at the economy and what it's likely to do over the next year or two, there isn't loads of good news around. You know, you're going to get a select few who might be out there buying electric cars, but I think certainly new ones as well at that. I just sense that we're not really in a place, are we, where people are queuing up to spend out that amount of money on a new vehicle. Mr Reynolds, however, did reaffirm the government remain committed to meeting Labour's manifesto target of ending sales of new petrol and diesel cars by 2030. So there it is. They've gone to the Business Secretary. They've shown them all the workings out. They've shown them the devastation. They've shown them an entire workforce. Go, look, see all these people over here, 1,100 of them, and 800 over there, and 500 at this guy. See all those people. They're going to be out of work, OK, as a result of this target. And Labour have said, yeah, let's not worry about that. We'll keep to the targets. That's what they've done. Thoughts, is net zero dead? I mean, this is just one example of... And I think, look, the idea of getting to a world that functions without bad stuff in the atmosphere, I think notionally we all support that, don't we? Yeah, of course, that's notionally a good idea. But the fact that you go at it at 10 gazillion miles an hour... And by the way, you know, when other countries, China, for example, have got a sort of aspirational, 2060 target? 2060? And that's just an aspiration. That's not a sort of fully fledged promise on this. Because my thinking here is I don't think countries work in autonomy when it comes to saving the planet from bad stuff. you've got to do that thing globally, right? So if you've got the biggest powerhouse in innovation and industry who are saying, yeah, maybe 2060, and Jonathan Reynolds, like, telling everybody very excited, 2030, so 3 decades earlier? Really? What's the deal here? Is realism what we need on some of this? Let's